Okay, so this is my resignation from the world. This is my apology. I am resigning from the future and I'm going back in time to live in the past. I'm selling all of my PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 3 and Xbox 360 games. And I have to apologize to the world for doing that, because it means that I'm not going to be in the cool crowd anymore. I'm not going to be popular anymore. I'm going back to a time where only dinosaurs live. So I have to apologize for leaving the modern age. I've switched from playing games to making games. So it's been a big change in my life. It didn't just happen overnight. It's something I've been working on for a year, and it's taken till now to actually find free lessons online. So this is a bit overkill at the moment, because I downloaded tutorials on COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, Turbo Pascal, C, C++, but deleted them all. No, not what we're wanting. We're going to do 6502 assembly language. Okay? I am. So I apologize for leaving the modern world. So I'm going to be making my own Game Boy game. This is what I'm going to be doing with my life. I apologize to the church that I am not Smith Wigglesworth and I can't kick ladies in the stomach and get them healed of cancer. I apologize for that. That was supposed to be my calling in life. I was supposed to be another Billy Graham to evangelize the world and save millions, and I apologize that I failed at that. What I dreamt as a child, by the age I am now, I would be having rallies or campaigns, or whatever word you want to use, of hundreds, a tent full of hundreds of thousands of people, as Robert Sledden would tell me about. From 5 till 6 every morning for 3 years, I watched his videotapes, and in my mental health state, I believed he was talking directly to me. So I failed at that. So I'm going to be doing things in the past. So I'm going to be making a Game Boy game. I'm going to be making a Commodore 64 game. I'm definitely going to make an Amiga Cracktro demo. If I was to make an Amiga game, it would be pretty bloody basic. So I'll be making a Game Boy game, Game Boy Color game, Game Boy Advance game. We're talking about getting a ball rolling around the screen. That's it. That's the extent of it, because this is just the beginning of a big switch in my life. I just made a video where I realized for 5 years all I did was watch ghost cams and traffic cams and weather cams, and I believed I was doing the will of God by doing that. So 5 years of my life I did nothing, and then I spent maybe too much time playing games. So this is the big change in my life. Number one is learning programming. Number two is making title screens for my videos using Amiga demos. I found out there's Commodore 64 demos, there's ZX Spectrum demos. I'm learning to code on the ZX Spectrum at the moment. So the title screens for my videos will be not what the world wants. It's not a belief system where title screens have to be all done in Premiere and have to be professional. I can make it look professional, but I'll be using a ZX Spectrum to create the graphics with. Point one. Point two, the biggest wall of my life, which I'm breaking from tomorrow. I'm digging my guitar out tomorrow, and that's it. I'm going to spend an hour a day. I'm determined to spend an hour a day writing songs for my videos. So that includes, I'm not getting rid of every single PlayStation game, just the junk ones. I mean, that would just destroy me if I sold every single one. So I'm going to be learning how to make music on the PlayStation with Music 2000. There's a PlayStation 2 version of that, and I believe now there's a PlayStation 3 version. So I'll be making music using trackers. Now here we go again. There's trackers for the Commodore Amiga, there's trackers for the Commodore 64, there's trackers for the ZX Spectrum. I didn't know any of this. Like, I grew up in that era. That's my thing, but I was so intent on saving the world from hell that I could never see what was going on. So I owned my Amiga, and I had hundreds of games, pirated games. ScoopX, Photon of ScoopX is another thing. So apart from that, we didn't have internet, so I didn't know that like I keep saying, I worked in Farmers. We sold Game Boys in Farmers, and I was like, what is it? And I don't care. And so the whole world went by, and I didn't buy my first PlayStation 1 until about 2 years ago. So this is day one of my new life, and it all began on July 1992. Again, Rotorua. I was cursed by God with chronic fatigue because I didn't stand up during a warfare time in the spirit realm. So that's why God has made me sick all these years. So maybe if I do this, my health, I am losing weight. Maybe my health will improve. The opposite of what I was told. If I repented of not standing up in that church, then God would heal me. But maybe nearly 40, 92, 2002, 2012, 30 years later, maybe I can get myself healthier and not rely on God like I used to all those years. So this began in July 1992 with this magazine when I bought it, Optimed. I'm going to spend I'm not going to read the instructions anymore. I'm just going to play with Optimed, a tracker, a mod tracker, and just see what it does just by fooling around. And this is making demos. And again, here is the code that began it all in 1992. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to learn all about this. Not because it's of any relevance to the world or anybody. It's only relevant to a few hundred people that are still writing Commodore 64 games, ZX Spectrum games, Amstrad CPC games, BBC Micro games. The ultimate goal would to pull Elite apart and see how it was built. I don't know. So I'm programming NES games, Action 52, I've already talked about that one. Just having fun, and the most important part is having fun, writing music, and my episodes having puppets and silliness and Matchbox Toys, Incredible Hulk, Star Wars figures, Smurfs, Asterix. Bloody hell, these Asterix and Tintin books that I've had in storage all these years, they're going for $200-300. I'm never, no, those are literally from my childhood. So, some of them. So they're never going to be sold. I've chosen to start at the hardest, most difficult starting point. Not the tutorials themselves, but the fact that he hasn't numbered them and they're scattered all over the place. So I'm going to start somewhere in the middle and I'm just going to learn it in random, and then once I've done that, I'll slowly figure out what order they're supposed to be watched in and do it all over again. This is a 1-year project. So from now, where I don't know anything, to making scrollies and the, what do you call it, whatever it is, the copper scroll on computers. Simple stuff. And maybe even a basic game. Space Invaders. Let's make Space Invaders. Alright.
Hello, it's Keith here, and this is episode 1 of my 6502 assembly tutorials. Now if you're new to this channel, I previously did a series of 8 Z80 assembly tutorials.
So once I finish this lot, I'll go back to the 8 Z80 tutorials and just keep learning the same videos. I mean, maybe that's the best way to learn programming.
And I wanted to extend that and start teaching 6502. Now, I originally learned Z80 first, so these will compare and...
So that programs the Apple IIe, the Atari 5200, BBC Micro, Commodore 64, Atari Lynx, NES, PC Engine, SNES, and the VIC-20. Wow. Yeah, there's so many people making mods for these systems in 2021. It's huge.
Contrast 6502 to Z80 assembly. However, I'm assuming you know no assembly already, and I'm really aiming these for an absolute beginner at programming, so I'm hoping that even if you know no assembly, C or any other language, you should get some interest and experience using these tutorials, because I'm really hoping you can use them from an absolute no prior experience.
Well, from what I've learned so far, I watched a C tutorial, I fell asleep to it. They're basically each language is very similar. It's not like Chinese versus Russian. There's a lot of stuff that's similar.
So I'm going to show you today how we can use an assembler to compile quickly some code. I'm going to talk through how the code works. We're going to do some very simple samples, but most importantly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide, wherever possible, all of the source code, the tools, the emulators pre-configured for you to use within a Windows environment, so you can compile very simple examples very quickly and test those examples to see what they're doing and why, so that we can use assembly language, learn how the commands work and see the results with just a few commands, and we'll be able to get started really quickly. So let's see what we're going to be looking at. Now if you go to my website, you can use this Get the Development Tools icon here, and you should be able to download a 7-zip file of the tools that I use for my assembly.
So I've done that.
So what we have is we have a folder here that is basically what you will get from that 7-zip if you choose to download it, and we have a batch file here called sdrive.bat. Now if we run this, it will create a virtual S drive on your machine, and so I will run that now.
Okay, I'm going to shove that on the desktop so I don't lose it. At least all my files are organized now. That's another thing that's happened in my life. Nothing is no longer, it's a double negative. Nothing is no longer hidden and spending hours and hours searching for it. If I want ghosts and goblins, I just go A to Z and there's all my ghost UFO sightings, rods. That'll be a fun one. What's happening with the Roswell rods these days? Tower of Babel, ugly people, Iggy head, blah blah blah. So it's copying this. And what do you say?
To the 6502. So I've been working on this last week and I'm now doing the 68,000 version, but we're going to have a look at the build environment I used for that, because that build environment is literally the basis for these tutorials. So what we have is we have a folder here that is basically what you will get from that 7-zip if you choose to download it, and we have a batch file here called sdrive.bat. Now if we run this, it will create a virtual S drive.
This is stuff that's beyond me. Look at that. It's created an S drive, and it's not even Power ISO. It's self-made. The only thing I've added is WinApe, because he does some WinApe tutorials. WinApe is the Spectrum ZX80 emulator. So go to emulators folder, and I've put WinApe 2 in there. The thing is though, we use Notepad to create all the programs in. So the thing is F6. So he's got a batch file that loads all the emulators. So you want a Commodore, fucking Commodore 64. There you go. You've got Vice. So all I want to know right now is how I can hack the code that brings up these emulators to add WinApe in this menu, and then I'll be very happy with myself, and I'll have a lolly. No, I'm not allowed any sugar anymore. Yeah. I'm not really foreign, you know. I just do it to appear more sophisticated.
On your machine, and so I will run that now.
After watching this episode, I'm just gonna frickin' dick around and chuck in a BBC Micro ROM in here and see if he can play games with his versions of the emulators. Let's chuck a SNES game in there. He's already got one. Let's play some Aladdin. All right, and then we'll hack Aladdin and turn him into a sultan. I don't know. Whatever. Bye.